My amplified unit. Salute. It's time to wake up, get up, and get amplified. No, I said it is time to wake up, get up, and get amplified. That's more like it. Salute. My amplified unit, we got a packed show today. We got the Monday Night Raw rating for this week. Post Elimination Chamber. Were they able to get closer to that 2 million mark? Were they able to maybe go over that 2 million mark? We're going to talk about it, and a lot of you guys might be surprised at this week's Monday Night Raw rating. We will cover that. BC will also go over what to many, including BC, is considered a women's dream match. And I know we use that term a lot today. We overuse it. Most of the time, it's not even in the right sense. Everything is a dream match these days. But for a lot of us, there's one women's dream match that we all would have loved to have seen one-on-one. And it may become much more possible than we once believed even a week ago. BC will discuss, and we'll talk all about it coming up. And also, I wasn't going to even talk about this, but I know you guys are going to say, BC, what do you think about Tony Khan's big announcement last night? What do you think about TK's huge announcement, man? He went on podcasts and he talked about this big announcement, and everybody started to jump to conclusions. I told everybody, relax. This is just a ratings ploy. I knew this was just going to be a quick ratings grab. The ratings were going backwards, so I knew he was going to just take any little thing and try to magnify it. I just didn't know how bad the announcement was going to be. Like, how meaningless was it going to be? That was the only question for a lot of fans, especially BC. And wow, man, when it was all said and done, that was one of the worst ratings ploys of all time. And I've seen Vinnie Mac do some wild shit over the years. But this takes the cake, man. This is just one big announcement after the other that just fails time and time again, to the point where even the AEW diehard audience applaud them. The diehard AEW audience finally said enough last night. It was so cool to see just everybody just come together and say, dude, you gotta stop this shit. And of course, you got some other people that say, there's some people that are just going to defend this dude no matter what he does. Absolutely, it does not matter. They will be the front line for him. Don't try to knock our beloved TK. Well, we're trying to help your beloved TK. We're trying to help your AEW. It would be nice if you just were honest with him. He's got to cut the shit, Tony. Right? But there's those people out there, there is some that are saying, well, it's the fans' fault for hyping it up. He didn't hype it up. He just said he has a big announcement, and everybody ran with it and hyped it up to a point where you could not meet the expectation. What are you talking about? He didn't hype it up. He literally posted several times that he has a big announcement on Wednesday. First of all, that's hype alone. Then he proceeded to go on podcasts with an S, more than one, but some supposedly reputable ones like Busted Open with Bully, I believe it's called. And he shows up and says, well, I can't tell you anything, but it's a big announcement that's going to affect the trajectory of the company this Wednesday night. So people are like, wow, he's going on podcasts and hyping this up. And then he dresses up damn near in a tuxedo last night, his finest suit. He's got Renee all gussied up. There's a Hollywood-type curtain behind him. I mean, you're feeling like this is a big thing. And then he tells you what it is, which was literally something you would put in a press release. Literally, guys, this is what you call 12 to 4 news, what he broke. It's just literally what you tell a dirt sheet, or you put it in a presser, and you just say, hey, you got a show coming. It's literally press release dirt sheet material, and he hyped it up. The fans did not hype it up. If you don't start nothing, ain't gonna be nothing, is the old saying. Tony Khan, once again, tried to get the ratings ploy. You can't go ahead and play victim now. You can't say, well, what? I didn't do anything. I just said I was going to announce something. You put your fucking finest suit on. You went on podcast. You went on a world tour telling people you're going to go on a big announcement fucking spree on Wednesday night with this big news. And you failed to deliver, bro. And then you wonder why people are calling this the boy that cried wolf. This is literally what Tony Khan does time and time again. So I'll get to that. We're going to talk about what this was, why this should never happen again, why we said this for the last 3 announcements, and this guy just does not get the hint. And we'll talk all about that coming up, man. I didn't want to, but it's clear that you guys are going to want my thoughts on it. That's my initial cold open thoughts on it. I'm going to expand on that coming up. But first, a big story I want to discuss. And it's very, very cool, especially for BC. So I'll get to that. Let me get a swig, and we'll cover the first story. So, dream matches. This is something we discuss a lot because we're in an era now where work rate is what matters more than anything, right? Sequences and cool moves, and people like to throw around the B word. We don't use that anymore. Rhymes with hangers. But we don't even say that word anymore because it's so overused. Almost like the other B word, buried. Everybody's buried these days. Everybody's putting on hangers. So I don't even use those words. It's laughable. It's almost like all the chants when we show up to arenas and we just chant, "This is awesome" for everything. You could be 60 seconds into a match. "This is awesome." And it's just, it has no effect. It has the same effect as blood in AEW now. Blood in AEW is not, it has no effect because it's every single show. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 times a show. And you say, well, but you see, that's realistic, man. I love it. Well, when it's overdone, it no longer has an effect because there's going to come many moments where you're going to need to depend on that blood to help tell the story. And by that point, AEW has already ran it into the ground. And these chants these days, they have the same fucking effect. It's non-existent. There's no effect. The chants, "This is awesome," "Fight forever," "You deserve it," and then just wrestling terminology like buried and everything is a hanger with a B. Everything is about a 5-star classic. And it's not work rate and sequences that should be taken top-notch priority in pro wrestling. It's larger-than-life characters and storylines. You don't even got to take my word for it, by the way. Look at when the buzz started coming back for pro wrestling after a decade of just being asleep, basically. A decade of being in a coma. This past, I would say 6 months especially, it started to come back a little bit, man. The Bloodline and Sami Zayn really helped that. You see Bray Wyatt bring a big life, whether you like Wyatt or not, man. There was a buzz when he got hear the audience. Look at what was on your socials or whatever. Everybody was buzzing about Bray Wyatt. And whether you like what has happened since or not, this dude brought something special with that storyline with LA Knight. If you want to go over to AEW, I know this was a couple years ago, but roughly 2 years, Wardlow and MJF. That's the biggest thing I can think of in AEW. It's not CM Punk getting there. It's not the Elite having trios title matches or Chris Jericho in a mimosa match. Or one of the brightest spots in AEW was a really good storyline, Wardlow and MJF, and I just thought it was so special. So it doesn't matter what promotion. The things we're going to remember the most are storylines that captivated us. It's not going to be the matches, guys. I understand we have matches that we all are going to remember because they were great. But a lot of them, if not most of them, were most likely attached to a good storyline. All the matches that I loved were attached to a really good storyline. Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25, British Bulldog, Bret Hart, 92 SummerSlam, and the whole family feud. Steamboat Savage, WrestleMania 3. Bryan Danielson, his culminating moment Forget the match, just WrestleMania 30, just the whole story that went into getting him that title. Just every match that I can think of that had value and meaning, there was a reason. It's because there was care and interest into it. So that's my little setup to this, right? Everything's a dream match these days, but once in a while you come across a real dream match to most fans. Something that you've never seen before, and you don't know how or why you've never seen it before, because you should have. And B, why are we not doing it today? Well, that dream match that I'm talking about, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks versus Mickie James. Banks, Mercedes Moné, the current IWGP Women's Champion over there in Japan, and the current Knockout TNA Impact Champion, Mickie James. You say, well, BC, why are we talking about this? Of course that's a dream match, but I can think of 30 other dream matches with the females, BC. Why this one? Just because you're a big Mercedes fan? Well, that too, but also a big Mickie James fan too. Let's not get it twisted. But it's because this one actually has a chance of coming to fruition. This match has a chance to entertain all of us sooner rather than later. It was back in January when Mickie James was asked about Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and now that she's out of WWE, what do you think is a possibility? Would you want to wrestle Mercedes Moné? And you guys remember, Mickie James says, wow, that's the one match that we never got. We, meaning herself. We never got this one-on-one match, Mickie James and Banks. I believe the one time they met was a tag team match. I don't know if that was Sasha and Bayley, but Mickie may have been with Alexa. I forget. But I think there was a tag match between. That was it. So she's like, we never got that. And she's like, I would absolutely love that. And if there's ever a time, now would be it. Because again, at that point, Sasha Banks was out of WWE. So she kind of set the table. Now you fast forward a little bit, and Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, she puts out a list of who she would love to wrestle, kind of like a personal dream match list for her. On that was Mickie James. And that got people going, well, wait, James said she wants it. This is the world tour, the world domination tour for Mercedes Moné, right? She already said those exact words. Okay, well, Mickie James is on the list of dream matches. So now everybody's talking, right? Well, now recently, this is what Mickie James said, and this is a quote about stepping in the ring with Mercedes Moné. A quote by Mickie James: I'm always ready to step into the ring with Mercedes Moné. I think the possibility for that now is more possible than ever before. She says, I think New Japan has such a great relationship with everyone. So she could literally face anyone and everyone. I'm honored that she would even mention me. I think that is a dream matchup for me. We've never had a singles match ever, and she and I both talked about that, of how we would love to face each other one day, and those stars just never aligned. They didn't align while we were at WWE, but now that we're not there, and I'm at Impact, and she's at New Japan, I would love to have that match. She goes on to say, when asked about a WWE umbrella, who's to say in a year, next year's Mania, Mercedes Moné isn't there with that championship. Oh, so she's saying she would show up with the IWGP. So she's saying that WWE would start this Forbidden Door shit. Who's to say that Mercedes isn't there with her championship and opening up a whole other forbidden freaking universe? The possibilities are truly endless, but she has to beat me first, honestly. That is huge. And on top of that, guys, what adds to this, right? If you're asking, like, would the parties, right, would the bosses and powers to be on board? Well, Scott D'Amore, which is the bosses of Impact, literally says this. This was just, I believe this was the same interview. I think they were both on the same show side by side, something like that. But same exact interview, I believe. Scott D'Amore, which is one of the heads of Impact Wrestling, boss of Mickie James, basically, says this, and I quote, "I got to meet Mercedes. Our paths have never crossed before. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of her and everything she's done. It was a great opportunity to meet her and chat with her after an unbelievable match with her and Kairi Sane. I don't think Kairi has ever gotten the love and respect that she deserves. She's outstanding. That elbow of hers is among the best in the business and maybe the coolest to watch. It's one of my favorite flying elbows since the Macho Man Randy Savage. It's everything we wanted CM Punk's to be, but it was always so sloppy. Kairi Sane shows you how it's done and would make Randy Savage so proud up there." That's all my words. That's not Scott. But Scott is talking about how awesome Kairi is. Then Scott D'Amore says, her and Mercedes, meaning... Kairi and Mercedes went out there in front of a packed crowd and put on a world title match that I thought was outstanding. The wrestling was amazing, the emotion was fantastic, and talking to her afterwards, Mercedes is obviously a very focused and passionate professional. Her wrestling is top-notch, her attitude seemed great. James then kind of does the little, we have to get this match to happen, we have to find a way. So Scott D'Amore says, and I quote, "We have to get you two in the ring somewhere and get this done." So Impact is ready to rock. It doesn't matter if they have to move mountains. They're ready to do this. Mercedes Moné, Mickie James. Alls we need now is New Japan to be on board. I think you would need some type of approval by TK because they have that bigger relationship with AEW, obviously. But if we can get that done, man, for many of us, that is a huge dream match, literally. Now, for some of you guys, that's whatever. I can take it or leave it. That's fine. But if you're a true fan of pro wrestling and you know that there could be a really good story attached to it, and you got two characters, two wrestlers that we actually care about, the majority of us anyway, and you know you're going to have a culminating, actual awesome match, then yeah, that's something you really get excited about. That's something that really intrigues a lot of people. And this is one of those scenarios. You can get the storyline, you got the right people, and you're going to get the good match. It's like the perfect gift underneath the tree. You know, you wake up, you know it's Christmas. You're like, oh, I'm either going to get a tree full of shit or I'm going to have a lot of cool shit under that tree. You know, I'm going to get fucking socks and underwear. I'm going to get the new PlayStation and a new fucking bike. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, man. You know, for a lot of people, if you're like BC, man, just hearing them trying to set this up in their interviews is so cool. I mean, that's farther than a lot of dream matches that we think about, and nobody's really getting the ball moving. Nobody's really moving mountains to get certain matches together. It's just not happening. You know, when Shawn Michaels was even contemplating one more match, I mean, we all knew that should have been with AJ Styles, you know, and then Michael said, all right, you know, if I'm going to come back, I don't want to be the sole show. I'm just going to go, you know, do something with Triple H. But it would have been really cool to get AJ, if Shawn Michaels just made that decision 2 years earlier, AJ Styles, Shawn Michaels, right? But nobody was really pressing that. This is being pressed. Mickie James, Sasha, you give him 25 minutes, just like you gave Kairi and Sasha, or Mercedes Moné. You give him 25 to 30, and you watch what they can do. I love Kairi Sane. You guys know that. I will say this right now, and I thought that match was so good. Started off slow, ended up exactly how it should have been. Mickie James and Mercedes will be even better. I will say that right now. I fully believe that you will see one of the best women's matches that you have ever seen in your life. Whether you're a Mickie fan or a Mercedes fan, or you're not a fan of both, you will see one of the best matches ever, and you will get a damn good story. I don't care if you call it a forbidden door, back door, side door, through the window. I don't give a shit. This will be something special if they can get this done. So, I did want to talk about that because it's two people I greatly respect, and I love to see promotions trying to do something special. You know, I didn't mind the whole Tony Khan thing with New Japan Pro Wrestling. You know, you want to call it a Forbidden Door pay-per-view, whatever. I wish it was done better, you know. Show your American audience, your AEW audience. I know a lot of the AEW audience knows a lot about Japan, but a lot don't. And you still do want to get casuals. Casuals are still a thing, guys. Just look at ratings for big shows or after pay-per-views or going into a pay-per-view or around WrestleMania. You see hundreds of thousands more viewers than normal, right? That's called casual fans, guys. They're still out there. You just got to get their attention. So I just wish that Tony Khan did that better instead of just going, I think everybody knows just like I do. And it just threw together a fucking a pay-per-view that not a lot of people were even like given a chance to care about. But if done correctly, man, it can be something special. So I don't mind things like that. You just gotta make people care. Sasha and Mickey would do that. So that's the story on that. A little biased to the story. You're damn right I am, because for me that would just be fucking. I don't care how much. I don't care if it's a $200 pay-per-view it's on. Here, go ahead and take that shit. Just give me Mickey and Mercedes. Salute to them. Salute to D'Amore, to New Japan, to anybody that needs to get this done. Let's get that match done, please. Salute. Moving on. Let's talk the Monday Night Raw rating for this week. Last week they pulled just over 1.8, as you guys know. This was the post-Elimination Chamber show. It wasn't the best of shows. I don't give mulligans, but I did tell you guys that I did want to at least acknowledge that, yeah, they were running on E. They had a huge week in Canada, not just weekend. If you guys know all the events and activities and everything that was set up, I mean, this was I don't want to say it was like a WrestleMania weekend, but it was because they were in Canada, it was a hefty week, man, an exhausting week for WWE, and then they come out of the chamber and they have to set up for Raw. I'm not giving a mulligan, but they were running on empty, and you could tell that on Monday. So it wasn't the best of shows, but there's so much potential. So much potential on Monday Night Raw and for WWE, guys. SmackDown as well. There's potential there, and they just have to do this right. And we could see a resurgence in this company, man. I mean, the groundwork is there thanks to the Bloodline, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, that whole thing. Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman, and Roman Reigns are doing their separate thing too. So a lot of that's revolving around the Bloodline. Two separate storylines right now, and we're captivated. Bray Wyatt, whether you love him, don't, whether you say his supernatural shit is stupid or you love it like BC, he's bringing in the numbers, and he's always the one getting the wrestling world buzzing. So Bray Wyatt's fucking added another layer of interest. And then you have all these little things that could be so special if done correctly. I mean, you look at Raw itself, that I'll easily admit was not that good of a show, but so much potential. Like Kana Asuka taking on Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, and with 5 weeks still to go of television before that, all the cool things you could do. Asuka and Bianca Belair intrigues me to no end. I mean, that is so fun, them two together, knowing that they're going to have an amazing match. I hope they don't add a third person like Raquel Rodriguez or somebody. She's on the blue brand as it is. Don't even try that, please. Don't add anybody. Asuka, Bianca, that's the title match. Let's rock. Let the chefs cook. So that intrigues me. Things where they just throw people together, right? The little... What's the word I want? Little interactions, I guess. It's not the word that I want, but I'll use that, otherwise we're going to be here for 2 hours. The little interactions we get with, like, Adam Pearce and Chelsea Green. I just love that every week. Are you the manager here? I told you I'm the manager here. She couldn't get into Canada, something with a passport or something, so they turned that into a storyline. She calls up Adam Pearce, says, hey, I was brought to Ottawa, Illinois, not Ottawa, Canada. Where's the manager? We need to talk about this. I'm furious with talent relations. I just think Adam Pearce and Chelsea Green, man. They're thrown together, but it works. The chemistry is there. These little connections that are happening with Otis and Maxine from the Maximum Male Models. I just think that is brilliant. I mean, the way Otis looks at Maxine is the way that Otis would look at a buffet. I mean, he is totally intrigued, and this is causing a little bit of a riptide, no offense, Rhea Ripley, between him and Chad Gable. So I just think that's one of those relationships that is just budding live on television. And then you have whatever Edge and Beth Phoenix are in. I'm totally just enthralled by it. I really hope that Beth Phoenix is going to play a big role at WrestleMania. I hope that Elimination Chamber wasn't it. I mean, you look at Beth Phoenix. I mean, she looks like she is in her prime now. The performance she put on at Chamber would tell BC she's still in her prime somehow. 40s with kids. And it still looks like she could take out half the roster. And then we see her on Saturday night, and it's like, yeah, she can take half the roster out, bro. Still, more than half. Most of that roster, Beth Phoenix can run through. So she intrigues me to no end. And I'm probably missing out on just so much. That there's a lot of potential on that show. I'm just running down just some of it. And you don't even have AJ Styles on the show. You don't even have Randy Orton on the show. There's no Big E right now. I believe he'd be Blue Brand anyway, but just sticking with Raw alone, there's potential there, is my point. Did they utilize it fully on Monday night? Absolutely not. I get Rick Boogs. He's booging out. Rick Boogs, man, is so much fun. And him and Elias just make me just laugh. Legit LOL. I mean, Elias is the middle of the ring. He points backstage and says, Rick Boogs, I hope you're backstage taking notes, because this is how it's done. And they cut backstage, and Boogs is literally taking notes, man, booging out. Come on, bro, that's legit LOL material, man. That got me to laugh more than 3 full years of R-Truth being chased around by Ninja Tozawa for the 24/7 title. That was supposed to make us giggle and laugh. No, it never did. But that, fucking Boogs taking notes, that's just hilarious. So there's just so much potential. This one didn't land, but it was post-Elimination Chamber. You know the interest is there. There's storylines, like I said. Cody and Roman and Paul Heyman, the Bloodline. Sami Zayn, we know, is going to show up on the Red Brand. And we know the story with him, the Bloodline. There's storylines there. And people wanted to see, but Bray Wyatt said, I'm going to take on the winner of Brock and Bobby. Well, Bobby won that. Bobby's Red Brand. Is Bray going to show up on the Red Brand? Nobody knew. So there was interest there. There was still a chance, even though the show wasn't that good, for them to still click near 2 million viewers. That wouldn't shock BC. Could they top 2 million would be the question. Well, the final rating is in, and this is what WWE Raw pulled in for this past Monday night post-Chamber. Raw pulled in 2,006,000 viewers, guys. They just went over the 2 million mark. Perhaps even bigger. In the 18 to 49 demo, they pulled a 0.56. 0.56. Now that's massive. To put that in perspective, SmackDown pulls around that. I think SmackDown pulled like a 0.51, 0.52-ish, something like that this week as well. AEW pulls usually 0.3 some odd. So that shows you how big that number is, 0.51, when AEW's kind of always roughly 0.3 some odd. And for Rampage, they pulled a 0.07. So imagine going from a 0.56 on Raw to a 0.07. I mean, that's drastic. So the 0.56 is your key demo, your 18 to 49. That was really good this week. And again, they eclipsed 2 million. They gained over 160,000 viewers, over $150, I should say, because that was roughly 185. 2,000,006 would put roughly 150. So they gained all of that. Again, the show wasn't even that good, but that's just resting on post-Elimination Chamber and just interest, general interest. That's what you can chalk it up to. It has nothing to do with football, guys, because, again, football was over. Last week, no football, and they still pulled the 1.8. That's what I mean. You're either going to put on a good show or you're not, and the fans are either going to tune in or they're not, or there's going to be interest or there's not, right? And sometimes that'll help out if it's not the greatest show. I can't say enough. It wasn't the greatest show, not even close, but there was so much potential there that the interest kept people around. I don't know any other way to say it. Interest will always do the job. It's the same reason we say, like, why Tony Khan says, I have a big announcement on one. He does that on purpose, right? Even when he doesn't have big announcements, he does it because he knows that's going to bring interest into his show. right? The show may suck, right? I'm not saying Dynamite dead. Dynamite was better than last week at least, but my point is the whole show could suck, but it'll pop a rating because there's interest. Oh shit, there's an announcement. Okay, I have to tune in now. There's an announcement. So when there's interest, man, that will make up for a bad show at times, no doubt. And Monday Night Raw pulling in 2 million viewers, $150,000 more than last week, and it's a good sign for them. You know, you really should not be under 2.2 right now with no football competition. There's zero reason under the sun you should be doing anything. Just like I say, AEW Dynamite, 4 years old now, with the roster they have, with what TBS/TNT allows them to do, there's no reason AEW should be less than 1.2 every week. They should be striving for 1.5s, no doubt, but a 1.2, not just a million. When us numbers guys cracked all the data, that's what we came up with. 1.2 is the bare minimum. I mean, when you looked at when AEW started, it was a 1.4 rating that very first week, something around that. And nobody thought they would lose nearly half of their audience 4 years later. Because that's what happened, right? You pulled nearly a 1.4. Half of that would be 700,000 viewers. Well, they pulled in almost 800,000 viewers last week from their debut of 1.4. So they lost 600,000 viewers. If they lost another 100,000 viewers, you're talking half the audience of AEW from week one, that very first show. 4 years later, half of the audience has gone away, and nobody ever came back. And they didn't attract anyone new. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. Nobody could have imagined that on week one, right? You knew probably they're not going to keep the 1.4 up front. They'll take a little bit of a dip, find your footing, and then you start going upwards again. Start trying to get 1.5, 1.6. Nobody thought that 4 years later, they'd just be trying to get a million viewers consistently. And even they're struggling to get 1 million. I mean, Tony Khan has to talk about an announcement every month, or a new WWE signee has to come in for people to show interest. Nobody imagined that. But if you follow the data, 1.2 is your bare minimum for AEW Dynamite, and they're nowhere near that, obviously. For WWE, same thing, 2.2, 2.5. We're being generous, bro. They should be at 2.5 with no direct football competition, especially. But because this is what happens when the product is so bad for the better part of a decade. Michael Cole even admits that, by the way. Cole was on the McAfee show recently, and Cole said, yeah, I mean, what's happening with the Bloodline storyline? That's easily the best storyline we've had in most likely the last decade. He literally said those words. It's everything BC said for the 6 years that I've had this channel. For 10 years now, WWE has not had captivating storylines that we gave a fuck about. And, you know, there's people that go, Beasley, I disagree. And then you have people like Michael Cole themselves saying, well, this is actually the best television we've had in 10 years. We know. People with common sense and logic like BC, we don't bullshit. When the red light goes on, when we're behind the microphone, we're not just going to bullshit. You know, we're trying to make everything better. You know, we're not just saying words just because we like to hear ourselves talk. We're saying exactly what is happening on these shows, in these companies, in this industry. And that's why when the company is so bad for 10 years, the rating dips so low, even without football competition, you're going to just try to get 2 million viewers. You know, everybody said during the season, don't worry, once football's done, they'll be back at like 2.5, 2.6 BC. And I'm like, no, they're not. They went so low that some weeks they were at 1.4, 1.5 WWE Raw. I was like, guys, even without football, you're going to just try to get back to a 1.8. And what happened? Last week, no football, 1.8. I know what I'm talking. I follow numbers, man. It's not a pat on the back. I just always want to know what is happening before it happens. So when it happens, I'm not shocked. And then you see a 2.2 is now your bare minimum. Well, no, WWE Raw is not even nowhere near 2.2. They just cracked 2 million, but it's at least a sigh, right? Everybody can take a sigh of relief. You win over 2 million. There's interest in your company and for Raw. That's a good starting point. You were shit for 10 years. You're starting to get better. So take the 2 million and go from there. Baby steps. Go to 2.1 next week. Then go to 2.2 the following week. And then set your sights as we go into Mania at a 2.5. right? Let's get back there. Just because you sank so low doesn't mean you can't get back up. Sometimes hitting rock bottom will bounce you back so far. How hard you hit that rock bottom, you can bounce back even better sometimes. You just got to put in the effort, do the deed, do the right thing, not the wrong thing, and you'll be fine. So we're going into left field with a hockey stick, right? I don't want to confuse you guys too much with numbers, but this 2 million plus, this is big for WWE. To capture 2 million plus going into Mania, Elimination Chamber over. I think this is a good, and they were on empty Monday, guys. They were on empty. So this is a good, they can look at that 2 million, say, okay, that's us on empty. Now we have a refueled tank on this road to WrestleMania. Let's start shattering shit right out of the fucking park. They ain't going to find that ball. 2,006,000.56 in the 18 to 49 demo. Now, kept you guys here long enough, over half an hour already. Let's get to the big story. I teased it a little bit, talked a little bit about it in the opener, the cold open, and that's Tony Khan's big announcement. Now, again, I'll say, let me get a swig of coffee, and then we're gonna get into this. Tony Khan's big announcement, or was it just another Tony Khan big letdown? Swig of coffee. We're gonna talk all about it. All right, so here's the deal. Again, BC knew from the get-go. When I heard big announcement, I knew this was going to be something that we already know, right? Fightful already broke it or some shit. And he's just going to try to string along his audience so he can bring in as much as he can, generate the buzz from this ratings ploy. And see where the chips fall with the rating. He's going to hope that he can crack 1 million by keeping fans around for this big... And that's what this was, a ratings ploy. He didn't announce it until right before the main event. He kept this... He knew that everybody was speculating now. He knew there was buzz. He knew that everybody was hyped up. And he kept it right before... He acted like this was a truly big, like company-shattering announcement. And there's some fans that go, well, it's the fans, it's other fans that hype this up. All he said was, I have a big announcement on Wednesday. And then fans took it and ran with it like they always do, and they ruined it for themselves because Tony was never going to be able to live up to the hype that they created. What are you talking? Tony's the one who hyped it. He said, I have a big announcement several times on his own, social or AEW site, all of that. Was saying how there's this big announcement. Then he takes it a step further, right? This is what we call a hype train. He goes on podcasts like Breaking Open, Busted Open with Bully, something like that. He goes on this podcast and he starts talking about it more when asked about it. Well, I can't give you too much details, but it's going to change the trajectory of the company. Multiple podcasts, guys. Tony Khan talking, hyping it up. This isn't fans going on these podcasts. This isn't the fans putting out these releases. That there's this big announcement, you're going to want to tune in. This is him in AEW, guys. How is this the fans' fault? The fans were hyping this up. Tony Khan was hyping it up. We were just doing exactly what he knew we would do. Speculate. Start thinking, oh, shit. What's he do? I mean, it can't be something little, right? I mean, the bar has been so low anyway for Tony Khan big announcements. So even AEW true diehard fans of AEW have lowered their expectations to the point where they were like, all right, I know this is going to be stupid, but maybe he's going to give us the announcement date of the new AEW video game. And I was like, wow, how sad is it that is going to constitute as a big announcement for AEW's trajectory of the company. But that's how low the expectations of AEW's fans, the diehards, that's how low even their expectations have become for these big announcements. So they were like, I'll just take the video game and we'll be done with it, BC. And they didn't even get that. He hypes this up. Some fans are like, it's the fans that hyped it up. It's just not Tony's fault. All he said, he has a big announcement. Yeah, he said it all week, everywhere he could possibly tell us. That's called hyping it up. I don't know any other way to say that to you. It's not like he just made it in passing or he just sent it out via a little social media post and then he'd shut up about it. You know what I mean? Then okay, yeah, okay. We took a little thing and we fucking totally we blew it up. This is somebody who literally took that post and then he just went on a media frenzy hyping this thing up. I don't see any other way. I don't know. Some people will just defend this shit. So here we go. It's the same old boy who cried wolf scenario, right? The boy who comes home from school every day, bored as fuck. All the villagers are working hard so that boy can have some food. And he cries, wolf, wolf, around all the sheep, right? The villagers come fucking running because they're trying to save the sheep. They're trying to support the fucking kid and make sure he has a good fucking life. But no, there's no wolf. This boy fucking lied just to get some fucking attention. Next day, he comes home from fucking school. He's bored. He walks around the sheep, sees all the villagers working. He starts yelling, sheep, wolf, wolf. Not the sheep. Yeah, they know they got the sheep. Wolf, wolf. They come up fucking. There's still no fucking wolf. It's just the sheep. And this happens time and time again. Well, one time, the whole villagers, man, it's a hard day at work. They're laboring hard. This kid comes home. He wants some attention. He goes up to the hill where the sheep are, and he's like, wolf, wolf. The only difference is this time, there was actually a wolf. And wolves just ain't going to eat the sheep. They're going to take that kid out. So there's a wolf around, and he's yelling wolf, wolf around the sheep. And for himself, like, somebody help. The villagers, they don't show up on that day. The villagers have had enough. They're not going to listen to this kid lie again. Yeah, okay, there's a wolf. You'll be fine. Well, there was, and that kid was no more. Harsh lesson, but one that needed to be learned. Watch your fucking bullshitting. And Tony Khan has done this one too many times. People say Paul Heyman is like a used car salesman, but he's got nothing on Tony Khan. Tony Khan will sell you a car with more mileage than all of the Golden Girls combined. Whether it's Dorothy, Blanche, Rose, and Sophia, you can throw in Miles and Stanley, and all of them together would have less mileage than a car that Tony Khan would sell you. Tony Khan would pull a whole 24-hour shift trying to sell snow to an Eskimo. And he wouldn't care how he had to do it. All right, that's enough. I had to cut that. That's Ariel's joke, guys. If you know, you know. Yeah, that was just, I just literally just made that comparison. And then I thought maybe I should be putting snow with Tony's name because that's taken on a life of its own this week with Ariel and Tony. But anyway, you know, some people are just natural, organic bullshitters, guys. That's not even shade. Tony Khan is a bullshitter. You know, and in business, that'll get you your desired result for a while, but only for a while until people start going, you're not trusted, bro. There's no way I'm trusting you. And that's kind of what happens. Tony Khan will do whatever it takes to get what he wants, even if it means putting his own reputation on the line. Sometimes that's good. In these cases, it's not. And now he is, I mean, last night put the seal on his legitimacy for big announcements or for coming through in the clutch. Last night, even the AEW diehard fans said, bro, I will never support one of your big announcements ever again. I don't care if you said you just bought WWE. I ain't tuning in, and I'm going to have to find out later. Because I'm not buying that bullshit anymore. Guys, what are we talking about? His big announcement last night was that there's going to be a reality show for AEW after Dynamite. And people go, well, the good news is that there's no more Slapfest. They're taking that off the air because they believe in AEW. This is a good thing. Warner Media is going to up their contract times 10. You guys don't understand. The Slapfest show is just a seasoned show, guys. It's not supposed to run 52 weeks a year. Just like a competition for Dynamite would be an MTV challenge, that only runs for approximately 4 months at a time. Then MTV has to put something else in its time slot. Same thing, guys. When Slapfest is not going anywhere for the next several weeks until the season is done. And that's why they said not until March will you start getting the AEW show. That's already been filming. AEW is ready to go with their reality show. But Slapfest is going to continue its season. It'll probably be back even with horrible ratings, or they're just going to say that's so fucking bad. You're gone. And this is why we say ratings matter. Rampage could be gone at any moment. They just pulled 287,000. Even without being on a 7 o'clock time slot, last week they only pulled 375 in their normal slot. So that's why ratings matter. It could definitely be canned. But they're going to let it go through its whole season, and then they need a replacement because the season is over. So they said, okay, let's bring in some more fucking sports-centric shit. We have AEW, let's have a reality show. So this isn't as big as you think, guys. They just needed, when Slapfest is over, the season is concluded, they need something in that slot for at least 5 months, 4 or 5 months. Enter AEW. So, I mean, some people were like willing to let it slide because at least Slapfest is gone for good and they believe in AEW to take its spot. Well, yeah, for 4 months, and then we'll have to see. Maybe it sticks around. Maybe Slapfest is going to be gone, but that's not the case right now. They just needed something when the season is over. So that's a side fucking discussion. Can't even believe that we're talking about that and not the big matter at hand. The big problem here is that the big announcement was that AEW is going to have a fucking Total Divas 2.0. They're going to have the Rhodes to the top. Wasn't Cody Rhodes already in a show like this? Sort of. I know. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be like Rhodes to the top, mixed in with Total Divas, mixed in with Bellas. Guys, the last thing most of us want, honestly, if you guys are into this, that's great. This is not BC's cup of coffee. And I know there's a lot of fans that are not into this type of reality fucking wrestling shit. Look, keep that on Entertainment Television, right? Put that on the fucking Hallmark Channel, on fucking Bravo, wherever you need to fucking put that shit. But most of us do not like this wrestling reality. We don't need to jump into the fucking locker room and into their personal lives and all that shit. Don't they do that anyway on social media? Now you have a whole show on it. It's Total Divas meets Rhodes to the Top, meets Miz and Mrs. And even Bianca and Montez have a show coming out soon. That's all this is. It's a reality show. Guys, what we call this in the business is a presser. This is what we call 12 to 4 news in pro wrestling especially. This is not even newsworthy for prime time. It's something we call 12 to 4 news. You just spit it out in a presser during the day, and at the water cooler, adults will talk about it. Kids have phones these days, so maybe at the water fountain, kids at school talk about, hey, AEW is getting a new show. Okay, thanks, Tim. This is 12 to 4 news is what you call it. It's a press release type of thing. That's all this is. Or these days, you just put it on social. Just say, hey, we have a new show. It's not even like a wrestling show. It's just a reality show. Just with wrestlers now. We see it with NBA. Everybody has a reality show. This is press release shit, guys. This is dirt shit. In fact, Fightful already mentioned this last week. Maybe even before that. But they've already broke this. So it's not even like it's news. I couldn't believe. The only thing for BC was, how bad is this gonna be? Like, how much of a ratings ploy? Does he have any nugget of fun shit to tell us? Or is this gonna be so sad that even his hardcore, tried and true diehard audience is gonna kind of turn on him? And that's what happened. It was so bad that even the AEW diehards were kind of like, okay, I love AEW, love Tony. This isn't happening again. I am never going to believe in one of his announcements again, bro. We didn't even get the video game announcement, a lot of people said, man. And then they tried to cover it up, right? Adam Cole. First of all, Khan didn't even have the balls to say it himself. He brought in Adam Cole to deliver the announcement. And then afterwards, Cole said, I'm going to debut on the same night. So I guess they're going to try to do a ratings ploy where everybody's going to need to see Adam Cole wrestle. And that's going to make people tune in to the show that night, I guess. I mean, we like Adam Cole. Some of you guys may love Adam Cole. I mean, I'm not that high on the guy. He's a good wrestler, okay. I don't think we're going to lose sleep if we don't see Adam Cole wrestle again. So he added that on so everybody would kind of forget about the non-big announcement that was just made. So that we would all talk about Adam Cole coming back to actually wrestle. But we already knew that weeks ago. Adam Cole told Renee, I'm back. And then for a fucking month, we didn't hear anything. So he just fucking... Guys, how do you not... It's so bad, you can't even get frustrated anymore. You just gotta laugh. You gotta laugh because, I mean, who is there to approve this shit or disapprove it? It's Tony. Tony comes up with this wild bonkers shit, and then he approves his own shit. And then he goes live, and you say, well, he didn't hype it, BC. The fans did. The guy was out there in basically a tuxedo, his best suit. We'll say that. It wasn't a tux, but it might as well been like they were in a Hollywood premiere. Renee's all gussied up in a white dress. Tony got his best suit on. They got this big Hollywood curtain behind him. It's like this big fucking reveal. And they just revealed a fucking television show. Do you know what WWE did with fucking Bianca and Montez? They just sent out a press release. Could you imagine if WWE for a full week hyped up, went on podcasts, right? Nick Khan, Paul, Triple H, Levesque is on a podcast, and they're talking about, no, I can't tell you, but it's going to change the trajectory of the company. Just tune in Monday night. Big announcement. And you wait 2 hours and 45 minutes on Monday Night Raw, and you get to the final segment right before the main event, and they say, we're going to have a Bianca Belair Montez reality show. That's right. What the fuck is everybody booing about? Did you not hear my big announcement? Montez, Bianca, reality show. It's happening. But we already knew that a week ago. I mean, we already knew that. We just didn't know the date. We still don't know the exact fucking details, and I don't think anybody cares. You could have just said that in a press release. So WWE goes, yeah, that's 12 to 4 news. Let's just tell everyone we got a show coming up. We'll hype it up as we get closer. He said this motherfucker said we got a big announcement. He went on podcasts. And he said, yeah, man, tune in Wednesday. It's going to really it's going to reshape the company. And when he fucking showed up in his nice suit, Renee's gussied up. It's like a Hollywood fucking announcement. And he said, we're going to have a reality show. We're going to have Total Divas meets Miz and Mrs. Rhodes to the Top meets Total Bellas. You're going to go inside the locker room. We already fucking are, bro. How many wrestling reality shows do we need? How much can you pull back the curtain before all the magic tricks are exposed? Kayfabe is all but fucking dead already. You just want to put the final nail in that coffin. It's horrendous. We don't need another reality show. But yeah, Warner Media's like, hey man, Slapfest is going to end its season soon. How about we just bring a film crew around Britt Baker and Adam Cole and Wheeler Utah and Dan Garcia and Sammy and Ty Mello. And of course, Tony's like, okay. Pump up the relationship with Warner Media, I guess. I don't know what they think they're going to do ratings-wise. It's funny, there's a group of podcasters that'll go live after shows, they're trying to get the quick views, you know what I mean? The show just ended, let me capitalize, I'm going to go live now, They're going to take a hit for anybody that wants to watch it. Or is AEW going to take the hit? People are going to rather watch fucking anything else but the reality show. I don't know how... we laugh because it's all we can do, but that was sad, man. That was a very... the thumbnail says a big announcement or big news or big letdown. It's beyond a big letdown because it's time and time and time again. And every time the ratings go backwards, they were at 824,000 last week. And he knew that if they dip under 800, I mean, the company is in a world of shit if they go into the 700s. That'll be the first time in a long time. And all they have to do is lose 25,000 viewers from last week, and they're in the 700,000s. And they know that company is in a world of shit because now you literally lost literally half of the audience you started with less than 4 years ago. That's beyond unacceptable. And he knew that. So he took any little low-bearing fruit. Okay, I have this fucking presser that we were going to send out. Let's make that big news for Wednesday night. We'll hold everybody until right before the main event, so they have to stick around the whole 2 hours, and then we'll fucking, we'll break the news. In fact, I'm not even gonna. Adam, you come here, you break it, and then tell everyone that's what we're waiting for your debut, your re-debut. Adam Cole, that's when you will wrestle. And that's literally the game that we played. Once again, a big announcement to try to pop a rating. And he better hope that he pulled 1 million, guys. He better hope that he pulled 175,000 people that really gave a fuck about this. Because, I mean, if he just goes back to 950, which is the top end of his tried and trues, I always say his niche audience goes up to about 950. 850 to 950 is the top notch of the diehard fan. Like, that's their peak. 850 to 950. 950 is that peak. 850 is the low end of that peak. And that's why I say last week when you hit 824, you are no longer even at the peak anymore. Your own tried and trues walked away from the product. So if you just get back to your 950, then that should have been your audience anyway. And this big announcement didn't take you that much further than that. Tony Khan better hope, because he lost a lot of credibility last night. He lost a lot of respect, and his reputation took a fucking mega hit. So he better hope that it was all worth it and that he at least cracked $1 million. It's not going to be much more if he did. He better hope that he at least pulled out of the fucking 800s, bro. You didn't even have NBA competition, guys. NBA was not I don't think so, correct? I think they come back tonight. Well, NBA was not a fucking direct competition for them, I don't believe. MTV Challenge was the only other thing above them last week, and that was their season finale, so this was just like a reunion show or something for them. So, I mean, you have zero real competition. You have this huge announcement, supposedly. This is what he said, his words in podcasts. And if you don't pull a fucking $1 million, bro, wow. Then even people are not buying your shit on big announcements. But this has got to stop. It's really cool to see the majority of the AEW diehards saying, okay, as much as I fucking support AEW and Tony, that I'll even say that this was stupid. This should have never gotten this far. You should have never strung along your hardcore audience, because even we were thinking something else. There was no way you were just going to give us a press release, dirt sheet type of announcement, because that's all this is, guys. Anytime you have something, especially like a reality show debut, it's a presser, it's called. It's called a press release. You don't fucking actually announce it prime time near 10 p.m. Eastern time. Everybody's fucking about to go to bed, but no, I gotta stay up for this news. What? A reality show? Did you hear that, Timmy? A third hour of Dynamite. It's not a third. It's There's about 10 fucking wrestling reality shows now. And you just look at the numbers. They're not that fucking good. They're little placements. They do a little bit better than in Law & Order, SVU, and Blue Bloods. So it doesn't cost the networks that much. Does a little better in the ratings. Maybe they can crack 300 to 400, where Law & Order might give you 250. So it's no harm, no foul, right? We'll bring it in. My thing is, what happens when you go below 250? What happens when Law & Order starts beating you and shit? Then even your reality show is going to get the axe. I don't know, man. That's my thoughts on it, guys. I have a lot more that I could say, but it's not even worth it, because he's just going to keep doing this. Every time a rating goes low, he knows he needs to do a ratings ploy. He knows that he needs to get 100 to 200,000 viewers at least back real quick. Snap of a finger. Let me just announce a big announcement. My big announcement is that I'm going to announce Adam Cole to announce my announcement. And Adam Cole says, well, we're going to have a reality show. And on that same night, just to make everyone forget about how lackluster and how fucking horrible that announcement was, on that same night, I'll come back and wrestle. How's that? You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. But it's a quick ratings grab. We knew it was going to be. We just didn't know how bad it was going to be. That was worse than I think. Yeah, he just sent his big announcement was a press release of a reality show. Oh, Amp Unit. Can you believe it? I think we can, though. That's the sad part. I think we've come to expect this. And now it's the boy that cried wolf, and now we can finally say, in the future, even if we think he's going to buy WWE and that's the announcement, I don't think people are going to tune in, because it's going to be something like, I've signed Action Andretti to a 2-year extension, right? He's going to hype it up for 2 full weeks, this big announcement. And when it finally gets there, he's going to say, well, first he's going to say, my announcement is that Adam Cole is going to announce this. Adam, come on in. Adam Cole's going to get in front of the camera, and Adam's going to say, AEW has officially re-signed for an extra 2 years Action Andretti. Or AEW has come to terms on a huge signing. Wait till the end of Dynamite to find out. And at the end of the show, they have signed Gilbert. Anybody remember Gilbert? How about Hornswoggle? How about Eva Marie? Nia Jax. Guess that would be a huge signing. Amplified Unit. We have fun. We laugh about it. But yeah, that was a massive letdown for a lot of fans last night. But hopefully Tony got what he wanted out of this. Right? He strung his own fans along. Hopefully it was all worth it. You know? Bullshitting your fans, basically. Stringing them along. Making them look like fucking idiots. And hopefully it was all worth it. Hopefully you got your $1 million plus, bro. Because if you didn't crack $1 million... And this is one of your dirty tricks, and you still didn't crack the $1 million? I don't know what the fuck. And by the way, Tony, please, cut the shit on the blood, bro. It doesn't have to be that much. I'm a fan of it in wrestling, But when you do it every single show, sometimes multiple times a show, it's going to lose its luster and its lure and its point. It's going to lose its prestige, man. Its purpose is going to be lost. And Mox, bro, I don't care. I don't know. Somebody, for just 1 week, don't hit him in the face, please. Because it's every fucking match with Mox. There's going to come a time where you're going to need to see it, and it's not even going to be fucking meaningful. Stop with that. You don't need it. I mean, Tony just resorts to the lowest bearing fruit, thinking he's going to pop a rating, and most of the time it doesn't even work. Larger than life characters, storylines that we give a fuck about. That's it. MJF and Bryan Danielson, by the way, thoroughly enjoyed that. That was the best that they did in this whole lackluster storyline between the two. And I'm a big MJF guy. Not a big fan of Bryan Danielson, but I like his work, obviously. And for a while there, he was lighting the wrestling world on fire. But I do enjoy MJF's work because I think that is somebody that gets this wrestling thing. And he's just so captivating. But this has not been a good storyline with those two, man. There hasn't been one. Last night, that's the best I've seen out of those two. Let's keep that going. Just to show you, man. I'm not just fucking just being negative about just one company. No, I saw some good things last night. I don't know why Jeff Jarrett, and I love Jay Lethal. I don't know why Jeff Jarrett is winning TNA. Fucking Dynamite AEW matches. I think Jeff Jarrett TNA Impact all the time, man. I did that in WWE too, man. I always think Jeff Jarrett Impact. Obviously, we know the history. But I don't know why Jeff Jarrett in 2023 is such a prime focus for Tony Khan. What does this guy have over him? It's amazing how many opportunities Jeff Jarrett gets in pro wrestling. How many times he's been able to go back to WWE when normally those bridges would have been burned if you knew how Jeff Jarrett left Vince McMahon. But he keeps... he's got something over these people. Maybe he's a really good car salesman, but I don't know why Jeff Jarrett is winning matches in 2023 to this magnitude. Evil Uno was funny last night, but nobody needs to see Evil Uno in the fucking main event of a Dynamite a couple of weeks before, one more Dynamite before a big pay-per-view like Revolution, and Evil Uno is in the fucking main event. I don't know. There was a lot of ups and downs, but unfortunately, the big talking point is the stain from last night, and that is the non-big announcement. The lackluster announcement heard around the world, basically. That's what everybody is talking about, Tony Khan's bullshit. And that sucks. That had to overshadow some of the good stuff last night. Anyway, that's what we got, guys. Kept you here long enough. Lots to talk about. Lots to discuss. Don't be shocked if BC's back later this afternoon with another vid or maybe even a live stream. You never know. Just stay subbed and notified, and you guys will be the first to know. But due to some switches up in the schedule, I might have something more for you later today or definitely tomorrow before SmackDown. So just be on the lookout for that. Until next time, guys. Top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you. Think, be, live amped always. And I gotta say it a third time. I said it twice earlier. I'll say it to the end this fucking video as well. Wake up, get up, and get amplified. After this last hour, you should have already been fucking woke up, gotten up, and gotten amplified, man. BC should have already got you on those fucking steps. All right, I'm out. Check you. Salud!